Meg, I want to bring you into this conversation on the question of demand. Obviously, there are a lot of factors at play here, what's happening in Europe, the war in Ukraine, but also, of course, the situation in Beijing, whether or not we could see more lockdowns. Saudi Arabia, OPEC allies meeting today. Do you think that we're going to see a cut to production? Because it's been dangled.
Well, thanks for the question, Hadley, and it's great to be back at GasTech. I think this is a very important conversation for us to be having, particularly in Europe, particularly at this moment in time. What's fascinating as you look around the world, I think the crystal ball is as cloudy as it has ever been around questions of demand and supply. China seems very committed to containing COVID, regardless of the impact on the economy. But there's a point in time where that's going to break. We've seen that, that decision be changed in nations around the world as they've decided they need to open back up and restart the economies and pour money into restarting economies. So I think it's very difficult to see how the demand for oil is going to play out. I'll make a point about gas because we are at GasTech here, and I think it is quite clear that demand for gas, particularly in the near term, is going to be very, very strong. And you play that out over time, and to Lorenzo's point around the world needs to grapple with energy reliability, affordability, and carbon. When you look at where gas is going to be, gas is going to play an important role well into the future as the world tries to meet those three challenges.
And in terms of what happens next with regards to dealing with the Russia-Ukraine dynamic, obviously the big conversation that's been happening in Europe, where I've spent the last 2 weeks, is one of energy poverty and whether policymakers really understand the realities of the market. In your view, do you see a disconnect between what they're saying and what's possible?
Well, it's been really fascinating to see what's happened in Europe. So prior to the invasion, we saw a continent that was very focused on energy emissions intensity, really over anything else. But as soon as the supply started being shut off, we've seen actions that really reinforce first priority is access to energy. And we're seeing European nations do things like bring coal back into the mix to ensure that people have access. And yes, they're asking citizens to manage energy use and adjust thermostats and all of those things, but you've got to provide people with energy. And that risk of energy poverty is very real. We just heard a representative of the Italian government say earlier today that they're looking at price caps because they recognize that high energy prices disproportionately affect those least able to afford it. I think this is a conversation that's going to play out around the world. And governments are really going to struggle to figure out how do you get that right answer. New supply is one of the best ways to get there, but of course there's a time lag. So I think we're looking at a couple of years that are going to be very challenging.
Yeah.